So I want to kick it off with your movie because I think this is perfectly on brand for you. I think the Kurt Warner thing was perfectly on brand for you. Of course, Shazam just has mass appeal. That's on brand for anybody. Yeah. But like, this is great because it's a story about love, family, challenges, faith. And I think given your newfound, like, huge fans on the right who appreciate not just how you act, but what you stand for, this is right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my goal is always to just make excellence, like I from the beginning of my career, even as, someone who grew up Christian and was conservative in many ways, I would consider myself a libertarian, but I've always had conservative fans and Christian fans. And I've always said, I have no intention of being a Christian actor. I want to be an actor who also happens to be a Christian or who happens to be whatever else those other, kind of, indicators are. But with The Unbreakable Boy, with American Underdog, I went after those films.
That's the Kurt Warner film.
Yes, the Kurt Warner film. Those films resonated with me because they were excellent. I could see it on the page. They were excellently written, and the team around them wanted to make them excellently. And I love this story particularly. Similar to the Kurt Warner film, American Underdog, it's a true story. It's a real family and their story. And Scott Lorette, who I play, the father and husband, he wrote a book, The Unbreakable Boy, which is this film is based on. And he was very brave and very vulnerable in showing just how not great of a father and husband he was for many years.
He was failing.
He was.
Because the child has a couple of disabilities or challenges.
Yeah.
And he's, no parent understands how to handle that naturally. And so he's very open about how it wasn't easy.
And more than that, I mean, he and his wife, Teresa, they got pregnant on the third date. Like, that was a massive curveball. It's like, wow, this is not what I was expecting, right? But they were like, we're going to see this through. We're going to do this, and we'll figure out our relationship as we go. That was hard. That was a curveball. Simultaneously, during all of this, right, now they're having children, and their first son, as you pointed out, has multiple things going on that he's struggling with. One is osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bones disease. That they find out kind of early on within the first couple of years. That's crazy and a massive curveball, not what he's expecting. And then a few years later, he's presenting very atypically, and they find out he's on the autistic spectrum. I think that all of these things are indicative of, even if those aren't specifically the things that we go through or struggle with in our own lives, we all have these expectations of what we think our life is supposed to be, how it's supposed to look, how it's supposed to unfold. Scott was already dealing with his own insecurities and unhealed traumas, not really accepting and loving himself. So these things then just pile on, right? We feel like, well, clearly I'm screwing up if all of these things, if this is where the universe or God is bringing my way, this is my karma, this is what's happening to me. And I was really grateful that I got to portray him and really bring it to life in a very authentic way. It's not just rainbows and butterflies and feel good, this movie. This movie has lots of that in it, and humor and heart, and it's infused with faith. But it allows the audience to go into the grittiness and darkness and hardship that the human condition brings about, what it means to just be human, and then tackling marriage and parenthood and all of those things. So
let's show them a clip so they get a flavor for what we're talking about. Let's watch SOT 18, part of the trailer.
Hey, Ozman, are you sure that's the right hat for your first day?
Don't be a goober, Daddy-o. Jessica is the best one. It's the Mountain Dew Code Red of hats. And the best part is the chicks dig it.
Oh, do they?
I'm Austin, but you can call me Ozman. Welcome back, everybody! I have a lizard named Marty and a killer hat collection. When I meet people, I tell them everything. Logan, this is Tyler. He said we can be best friends. All I have to do is shut up. Oh yeah, I'm also autistic.
Autism presents itself in many different ways.
It's a class for kids with special needs. They think that it's time, that it's only going to get worse.
Earth to Austin.
I think his brain's on another planet.
Nope, my brain is right here in my head on Earth.
This is not what I thought he was gonna be like.
Shoes on. Dad's late for work. Hey, whoa. What? Austin, what are you doing?
I feel like I'm failing every day, and the harder I try, the worse I do.
Honey, your mistakes don't define you. How you heal does.
You've given up so much for this family, and you have never stopped fighting for us.
Patricia Heaton as the grandmother. I'll watch anything with her. Her values are so intact.
She's so great. She is so solid as a human being, and she's so talented. And
Megyn, what's Megyn's last name?
Fahey.
She's amazing. She's like
She's
a rising
wonderful.
star.
She's a rising star.
White Lotus.
White Lotus season 2.
The thing with Nicole Kidman.
The thing with Nicole Kidman.
I don't remember the names of these
I don't remember either, but she was great in that too.
The perfect couple.
Yeah, she's very talented, and we were very grateful to have her play Teresa. Drew Powell plays my basically best friend in the movie. Peter Facinelli plays our pastor.
And the child actor, Jacob
Laval, who's here. He's based in New York. He's a wonderful kid, young man now. I mean, he's
crazy talented.
Yeah, very talented, and so uniquely perfect for this role because, you're trying to bring a child with autism to life in the most authentic way possible. And also we were casting in the height of the pandemic. There were a lot of people that were just like, I don't want to leave my home. I don't want to chance it. The plague is flying around the world.
Right.
So everyone that ended up playing these roles was someone that was tailor-made and fit perfectly. Like, God works this way. I mean, those were the people that were supposed to be in this film, with the cast, the crew, and it was a little engine that could. It was a thing that kind of came out of nowhere as we were preparing to make American Underdog. This was like an added bonus. And then we shot American Underdog. And then we were supposed to, originally the movie was supposed to come out 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
But because it was a small slice of life family film, and because a lot of people were still hesitant getting back to theaters, even in, beginning of 2022, Lionsgate, and I think wisely, said, listen, we don't want this thing to get lost. We don't want to get destroyed by these tentpole movies are the only ones doing well. So let's sit on it. And 3 years later, here we are.
So, I mean, I'm sensing a theme in the projects to which you are attracted. I mean, I think anybody would have taken the lead in Shazam. Any actor in Hollywood would have killed for that.
Hopefully.
But it also has an uplifting message. I mean, like, part of what we loved about it was just how sweet it is, the relationship amongst the family. And also it made you laugh. Like, I was trying to explain it to my friend. I'm like, it's not like, he's not like a scary superhero. He's funny. He's goofy. You're totally rooting for him. But then, like, the Kurt Warner, American Underdog, that story is amazing. It's one of the best American stories. I think I mentioned this to you last time you were on, but my first husband was obsessed with the LA Rams, and they've moved around anyway, but he was obsessed with Kurt Warner and was reading that autobiography or biography, I can't remember, I think it was his autobiography, on our honeymoon. So I got to know all these facts about Kurt Warner. At first I was like, this is so boring, stop reading me football excerpts. And by the end I was like, I'm reading that book right now. Who marries a single mother with a child who's challenged and has all sorts of challenging disabilities? No man who's like on his way up in the football world, you would think, would say, this is where I want to park the car. I want in on this situation. But Kurt Warner did. He was backbencher. He only got to play because the first stringer got hurt, and everybody was like, oh, bullshit. Kurt Warner's were in. This sucks. And sure enough, it was just such a great story, right? An MVP of the football game. So I'm just sensing a theme in the stories that you select that they all have heartstrings, and they have these like classic American stories.
I mean, I think heart is the most important ingredient in almost any story told, whether that's a comedy or a drama or a dramedy, or even if you're watching an action movie or, sci-fi or whatever. Like, are you, the audience, able to connect to that character? The first and most important thing you're connecting through is the humanity in that character, which is the heart of that character. I've been very blessed that, a lot of these roles, they come to me. Up until Shazam, I couldn't be very picky about the jobs that were coming my way. Now, post Shazam, I have more offers, and so I have a little more agency in deciding, okay, we'll go this way or we'll go that way. But up to Shazam, I had say over the auditions I would go on or not, but those jobs are still like, okay, what is God going to put in my lap? What role am I about to go and play? And I will say that, maybe it's because I lead with my heart. My whole life I have. I have a really deep empathy and love for all of humanity. And I really mean that. It's not just a soundbite or whatever. It's one of the reasons why I felt so compelled to even begin speaking, I guess, being more open politically, because I felt like not just where I think we needed to go, but guys, we're tearing each other apart. We're not seeing the person across the table as a child of God. We're seeing them as the enemy. We're seeing them as a monster. And I just don't operate that way. I want to be able to go and bring people together as best I can. And as an actor, when I get to tell stories that are so heart-led, that get to tell stories that are infused with hope and that are inspiring, that, you know, that bring people back to understanding themselves and each other more, I think that, you know, those are great opportunities. Is it also fun to go and do things that have nothing to do with that are just for fun, just for laughs? Absolutely. I want to do all that stuff too. But as an actor, I want to, I mean, to me, like, I'm proud of almost everything that I've done in my career.
Almost everything. Interesting qualifier there.
Well, I'm proud of everything that I've done.
I see ground to exploit.
On different levels, right? On different levels. But what I'm saying is I am particularly proud of this film, in part because I got to play a role that really goes through it. It's not just one level of being, all right, I'm this guy. And not to say that other roles that I've played haven't also had levels and layers, but there's an overall kind of more upbeat, let's say, vibe to Chuck that I did on NBC for years, or Shazam, or Tangled, or Harold and the Purple Crayon, or whatever. You know, I have so much love for all these projects in one way, shape, and form, but to play this real character, similar with American Underdog, you know, Kurt was much more stoic. And so there wasn't quite the same roller coaster. Like, because Kurt was also just this really, like, solid dude, as you're talking about. Like, he wasn't struggling with alcohol. He was struggling with his own, like, what am I doing? I'm lost in this journey, and I feel like God called me to be the next Joe Montana, but that's not happening, and I'm stocking shelves, but I love this woman, and she's got 2 kids, and I love them too, and so I'm going to go commit to that, and we'll see where God takes me the rest of the way. Scott is wrestling with God the entire time, putting on a good face, yeah, charming this guy, you know, working, but also just losing himself in a bottle because he's drinking away his problems, because that's what so many people struggle with. I mean, alcoholism is rampant.
Let me show him a little bit of that. We have a bit of that captured in clip 20.
I wish I could enjoy anything as much as my son enjoys everything. I've always held on so tight to things. I don't even know why. I've just always needed everything to be a certain way. We talk about an attitude of gratitude. It's never been me. I'm never content. I've never have been. I used to think that made me ambitious, but actually it just makes me ungrateful. And I hate that about myself. I push everything away, everything and everyone I care about. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be more like my son.
And that's him there in a group therapy for alcoholism.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, it's emotional.
Yeah, it is. And I haven't really, I've only seen the movie once.
Really?
Yeah. We did it, when John finished it, we had a screening, just like kind of our cast, and it was wonderful. It was fine. It was great to finally see what we had made together. But I haven't seen a lot of these scenes since then. And, you know, and these are things that I have struggled with, that I think we all struggle with on some level. Gratitude is massive. Yep. It's so absolutely integral to the health and well-being of ourselves and those around us to practice gratitude. There's so many amazing studies that have been done, by the way, like not just when we practice gratitude, when we see other people. In fact, I think they've shown it's even more powerful if you watch other people be grateful to other people. Wow. Like if you're just a fly on the wall and you watch some person help an old lady across the street with her groceries, that in and of itself, and you see that old lady grateful to that person, it changes you inside. Like it's incredible, right?
There's quite a line that he has there that you delivered of, I used to think it made me ambitious.
Ambitious, yeah.
And then I realized I was just ungrateful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that when I read the script and when that was me tapping into a lot of my own issues with that.
We continue to face uncertainty when it comes to the economy, with a perfect storm brewing as Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point as the largest generation is hitting retirement. A smaller workforce means a smaller tax base. You pair that with our growing national debt and rising cost of living, and we could have a big problem. So what are you doing now to protect your family for the future? Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text MK to 989898, get your free info kit on gold, and get a copy of the Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation, just information. Birch Gold has earned the trust of countless Americans looking to safeguard their savings. Just text my initials MK to the number 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.